you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lucy, and I was just saying to Jim that I've known Lucy for probably 17, 18 years, anyways. Now, Lucy came to our house in Maple Ridge, British Columbia one time. We
Mhm.
had Sherry Elrick in for a concert, and then the next day we had a workshop, songwriting workshop. And I started doing the songwriting workshops simply because I wanted to learn how to be a songwriter. And Lucy showed up at the workshop for sure, and that was around the time that you started as well, Lucy. I think you were
Correct.
just retired from being a school teacher, was it?
No, no, I was in
Uh,
sales. I sold
Sales.
phone systems like to hospitals and
Oh
businesses.
yeah.
And,
All
yeah,
right.
not
And
not cell phones, not cell phones.
So one of Lucy's notes was about follow through and dedication, and there's nobody more dedicated and does better follow through in the songwriting business that I know than Lucy. I ended up touring and playing and recording. Lucy ended up writing and writing and writing and has thousands of songs. So I'm really glad you're here, Luce. It's
Well, thank you.
fabulous, really. So you just take it away, and
All right.
we'll be at your behest. You call us if you need us.
Well, thank you all for being here, and it's nice to meet you all. Um, the thing is, you're never too old or too young to be a songwriter. So hang on to that no matter what age you're at, whether you're writing your first song, your 100th song, your 1,000th songs, whether you're an artist or not an artist, as long as you can think and express yourself in some way, you can be a songwriter. It's always the inspiration first. The inspiration will drive you. So a little bit about myself. I prior to 20 after I retired, I decided to get serious about songwriting. Prior to that, I had written songs on my own. I play a little bit of piano, and I had written maybe 8 to 10 songs on the piano, but they were songs for myself. They were never meant for anybody else. They were mine personally. Looking back at those songs, I realized I was writing them and didn't know I was kind of using it as therapy. I was going through some stuff in my life. I really honestly thought I was writing about somebody else's life, but it really ended up being mine. Those songs are still private to me. They're not meant for anybody to hear. My sons recall when they were growing up, they'd hear me playing the piano after midnight and singing a few things, right? And so it's a memory I kind of hang on to. So when I retired, I thought, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I thought, I need to get it be in another profession. I want to work and I want to work hard at something that is passionate to me. And to me, that turned out to be songwriting. So I took a good listen to my songs. I realized I am not an artist. My voice isn't there. I'm not really a great piano player like Robert. I mean, my gosh, right? He can play anything. And my melodies for my songs are were what I call static. They were set in time back when they weren't current with current melodies. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm a little bit stronger on words. Maybe lyrics is more of my strength. Now, at this point, I didn't know any songwriters or artists or anybody in the area to talk about this. And I was frantically looking online to find workshops. I thought there's got to be something. There's got to be something out there for songwriters to learn more. And I eventually found an ad in the newspaper. It was under the travel section. And in the travel section, there was an ad for the REO Songwriting Retreat. The REO Songwriting Retreat is held in British Columbia. It's out in the woods, and you eat and sleep next to a raging river. It's gorgeous. You're away from civilization, and it's run by a man who's also a songwriter called Brian Fogelman. And he started these songwriting retreats. As soon as I read that, I just joined right away. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from here up there.
Barring any forest fires, of course.
Barring any forest fires, yeah. So as I'm driving there, and I'm scared, I don't know anybody. I'm going by myself. I don't know enough about songwriting. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I am going and I am showing up and I want to learn. I want to learn a lot. So I'm driving there and it gets off the highway, it gets onto a paved road, then it gets onto a gravel road, and then it gets onto a really worse road with all these bumps and stuff. And I feel I'm in the middle of nowhere. Bears could come at me. There's nothing around me except these huge trees, and eventually I get there. So that first workshop was absolutely amazing. It's called REO Songwriting Retreat. And if any of these places I mentioned to you that you want information on, you can get hold of Robert or me, and I can give you info on it. It's like Robert is holding a in-person workshop this coming August. Are you not, Robert?
Yes, indeed. Some of these people are coming, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome in person. So I go to that first workshop. I keep my head down. I say nothing. I just listen and listen and listen. It was headed up by Pat Pattison. He's a songwriter professor at Berkeley. He's written lots of books on songwriting. He's quite very well known. He headed it up, and he brought in three songwriters with him, hit songwriters, Kathy Mattea, her husband, John Vesner. Kathy Mattea sang Where You Been. John Vesner wrote it. Kathy Mattea was very famous for 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses. And I think he also brought in Steve Zeskin, who was a hit songwriter. So they're all giving us ideas and sitting up front, all four of them. And I'm listening to it all. On the very last morning, I'm grabbing my coffee, and John Vesner, one of the hit songwriters, was also grabbing a coffee. He looked over at me and said, "You have not said one word during these last 5 days," because this workshop lasted 5 days in person. I said, I couldn't look him in the eye. After all, he was so much, was a hit writer. How could I just kind of looked at the ground and said, yeah, well, I'm just taking it all in. And that was that. And fast forward now to today, Brian Fogelman, who runs that resort, remembers that first time I was there. He cannot believe how far along I have come. And he said, she didn't talk at all at first, and now we can't shut her up. So if I gab too much and go too deep into things, stop me. Feel free to say something. I don't know how you run this, Robert, if people have to put up their hand or whether they could just jump
Jim
right in.
Yeah, Jim and I have a mute button if we need to.
Okay. So how would you prefer to do it? If somebody gets a question, do they?
They can either raise their hand or interrupt.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. So that was my very first workshop. From there, I went out to every workshop I could find, because through that workshop at REO, I heard about Song U, which is an online organization I joined. Through Song U, I started co-writing with people before Skype was a big thing, and we did it via email. I wrote with a minister in Thailand. I wrote with a fellow from the southern states, and a couple of songs with a songwriter over in Australia. Did this all online. Somebody's trying to get back in. Gabe.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, I guess he's there. So I went to everything. I searched online. I went to the Billboard one in LA. I went to the ASCAP We Create Music event in LA. I went to the country, Music Week, Canadian Music Week in Toronto. All these big events I went to. And I learned a little bit at a time as I go along. The thing about me is I am not good at these big events. I kind of clam up. There's too many people, but I like the smaller events. I love something like this that Robert is hosting. I love the REO songwriting retreat. I love going down to Durango songwriting events. That's how I started. So how did I find my first co-writers? I guess was through Song U. And from there, I joined Songwriters Association of Canada, SAC. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's still going. And out here in Vancouver, they would have a monthly meeting, which was run by Ivan Boudreau at the time, who I write with now today. But he was heading the meetings at Songwriters Association. And at that one, everybody would bring in a song and you would print out the lyrics, and everybody could have copies of those lyrics and listen to your song and give you feedback on that song. So during those sessions, I brought in some of the songs I had co-written with these writers online through Song U. During one of those sessions, I played, I think I might have just brought in a lyric. And one of the fellows there, his name was John Pippis. John Pippis was and still is a blues roots artist. John looked at me and said, Lucy, you can do better than that. I know you can do better than that. And I thought to myself, oh boy, this is the guy I want to co-write with. This is the guy who's going to challenge me. And I hope this can happen. I never said this to him, of course, but this is what I was thinking. A month or two later, out of the blue, John sends me a message and said, hey, what are you up to? And I said, I just wrote 2 lyrics. So I was concentrating then on lyrics. I wrote 2 lyrics. He said, oh, really? He said, I'd like to hear them. I said, sure. Let me know when. And so I went down to his place. He looked at those 2 lyrics. He put music to them immediately, one of which was a folk song and folk country, and one of which was rock. And then he looked at me and said, let's get them recorded. Recorded? Oh my God, recorded? What? What? So of course I didn't express that. I just said, sure, let's do it. You show up and you be optimistic and just go for it. So he did. He recorded them. He released them. And not long after that, he asked me to be his publisher. I thought, his publisher? What the heck? What am I? Oh, what? Okay. And so what do I do? You know, I got hold of a lawyer and got a publishing agreement done up. And that was more of his administrative publisher. And I did that for about 2 years. So my first in-person write was with John Pippis. Then maybe a year later or 2 years later, I get a message from Barry Muir. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Barry Muir, but yours with longer memories would maybe remember a couple of Juno award-winning bands, Paolas, Barney Bentel and the Legendary Hearts. They both won Juno Awards. And Barry was also with the Blue Shadows and Billy Cow as well. I don't know why he reached out to me. I don't know how, but he said, hey, why don't we write sometime? Out of the blue. And then I never asked him why he reached out to me. So I said, okay, Barry, where do you live? And he lives in North Vancouver, West Vancouver. It's about an hour drive from where I am. I said, yeah, we could try, right? But you know, who's going to go to whose house? You're an hour away. Yeah, he said, maybe we should write via Skype. Skype was in by then. He said, no, I write in person. I said, really, Barry? Yeah, you never tried Skype? No, nope, not going to, don't want to. I said, well, it's got to be, I said, really? Yeah, it's got to be in person. Otherwise, how do you get the energy? I said, okay. Well, I said, well, Barry, here's the thing. Either you or I drive an hour there, an hour back. That's 2 hours. And who's ever hosting the session usually cleans up a little bit in their place. They might put on some coffee or tea or maybe even some cookies. But that drive time of 2 hours, if we were on Skype together, seeing each other, talking to each other, communicating with each other, we could write a song in those 2 hours. He said, I don't think so. I said, okay, Barry, just think about it. So he did. He got back to me and said, okay, let's just give it a try. So we did. Clicked immediately. I think first, or maybe it was the second song he wrote, he put it on his album. And I've been writing with Barry ever since. We've written, I don't know, over 100, 200 songs together, co-written, him and I. He's released practically all of them. And now I think I don't ever want to write with him in person. Maybe the magic will be gone. We do it online. We do it quick. We do it fast. Barry always comes in with a riff or a melodic idea just before the write starts. This just popped in my head, he says. Okay. And all right, what do you think it's going to be about? And it's just like fast, within an hour, 2 hours, 20 minutes, whatever. So from not knowing anybody, I was now writing with John Pippas and with Barry Muir. And from there, other people, through other events, I'm meeting people. So from not knowing anybody back in 2011, fast forward to now, I have co-written over 2,000 songs with people. Over 200, I think about 260 songs have been released to the world. I have set up writing teams, what I call writing teams, because I discovered the power of three people in a writing room is just ideal for me. 3 people, and especially if you can get a producer in there. And so I've had a song placed in a movie. Just recently, last month, one in a commercial. So how did I get there from not knowing anybody back then in 2011, 2011, now 2015? How did I get there? It was co-writing. It was realizing that you can do it. It's showing up. It's taking a look at your strengths. A lot of artists, songwriters, they do it all. They do the lyric, the melody, the production, and the singing. But perhaps there's something they're stronger at. And if they get together with another person in co-writing, this is like double your chances. So little by little. So at this point, I'm going to ask you guys, is there anybody here who did not co-write with before you took part in these sessions?
Just a couple, it looks like.
Two people.
I can't see them because I don't see everybody. So who are they?
Gabe and Brian this is their first foray into co-writing. Oh, and Carla, sort of.
And it looks like Gabe has his hand. So it's Gabe and Brian and Carla.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is your first adventure in co-writing. How have you found it? I'll start with Brian.
I've found it, to be honest, every time I finish with a group of people, the ideas are just flowing. And often, even after 9 o'clock when we finish, I have to write down some ideas and thoughts. Like the last time we got together with Joanne and Gabe. Who else was it, Joanna? I can't remember. But from that came a verse and a chorus for me. It was Emmett. It was Emmett's idea, wasn't it, about college and or about going off and I love that sort of was forgotten, and
Right.
so so I always get something from it. But for me, it's inspiring, really. That's the word I would use because it just gets me thinking. I never thought I would let go. Sometimes if you're not used to it, they're my words, right? But really, where it takes. I'll give you an example. Recently, I asked Jim and Robert to have a look at some lyrics I have, and Jim took it to another place, which I'd never have thought of, right? And that's having those options is amazing. So I've really enjoyed it. It's been fun.
Nice. That was inspiring to hear that. Carla, what has your experience been like?
It's so far so good. I mean, it's nice to be connected with people who can do the things that I don't feel very strong at. So yeah, I really feel like I don't feel like I have the complete package to write a whole song myself. Like that's a lot. That just doesn't, every once in a while something comes together, but I feel like I could be a lot more I don't know if productive is the right word, but just yeah, achieve a lot more with the right people.
Absolutely. That's good to hear. And Gabe, I do believe you are the youngest one in this group. And as I said, you're never too old or too young to be a songwriter. So how have you found your first experience with co-writing?
My my experience so far, it's been really great. I've learned something new every time, and it's been similar to Brian's where I've been getting off at like 9 and having all these ideas and writing them down.
Yeah. 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 So getting into the mechanics of co-writing, I'm not sure how you guys have gone about it. But with the co-writes I've been in, uh, people become prepared before the session with maybe lyrical ideas or hooks, titles for songs, which they keep in their hook book, they keep writing it down. And songs can be written that way. Or some of my co-writers come in with a riff or a melodic idea before we start, and we write that way. The other way of writing, and I do this a lot, is when we are doing our little getting back together thing, finding out what's been happening with each other. We always have that little how's life treating you sort of thing. I'm always listening to what the others are saying. Lots of times in that conversation, a line or a saying or a phrase will jump out at me. And I'm thinking that would make a good idea for a song, or that phrase itself could be the hook. So once we've discussed, how life is and how we're doing, I'll often say, "Hey, do you realize that you said this?" And I'm always writing it down. I'm a paper girl. I'm writing down what we're talking about on paper, old fashioned. So I write it down. I said, "You realize you said this?" "Oh, no, I didn't." I said, "What do you think? Do you think that'd be a good thing to write it?" "Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would." Now we're writing the song in the room. That's the song in the room they didn't even know they had brought in. So from there, I've learned I try to listen to everything and everybody around me to pick up those ideas. What I have not learned is how to pick up ideas of things I say out of my own mouth. This I haven't done, except one time. And it wasn't me, it was the other person. So I had been at a workshop in Nashville. I forgot to mention I started going to Nashville all the time. I'm going down to Nashville 3 or 4 times a year, kind of ignoring Canada because I thought Nashville was the place for songwriters. So that's where I went. One time I spent almost 3 months down there. During that time, I met songwriters and people down there who now host me when I go down there. But anyway, so I'm at the airport going back from a Mary Gauthier workshop, and I see Don Henry at the airport. Now, Don Henry is a hit Nashville writer, lives in Nashville, and he had been a mentor at the workshop, and then he'd mentored other workshops I've been at. So I saw him. He recognized me, didn't remember my name though, fair enough. I mean, he's meeting lots of thousands of people. So we're talking at the airport, and I'm waiting for a flight to Vegas. After going to Nashville, I love to make a short hop over to Vegas because I like all the stuff about Vegas. So, and he's got time before his flight. And so he asked me, do you play an instrument? And I said, well, I do play a little piano, but I don't bring that into my co-writes. And he said, well, why not? I said, well, that's just between the piano and me. It's between my piano and me. He said, you should write that. I said, write what? Write what? Between my piano and me. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's a great title, Between My Piano and Me. And I said, oh, gee, I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that for years to my co-writers. If I'm, why don't you play? No, I said, it's between my piano and me. And I said, so I hesitated, and I said, well, Dawn, I guess so. I guess I could ask one of my co-writers if they want to write it. He said, why don't we write it? I said, what? He said, why don't you and I write it? I said, what? Now he's a hit songwriter. I'm a nobody, right? So I said, okay. I said, next time you're in Nashville, get hold of me. We'll write it. He only wrote in person, right? So next time I was in Nashville, got hold of him. We wrote it. Those are how things happen. Be open to all the possibilities. You never know where it will take you. So the other organization I joined when I was going down to Nashville is called NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International. They have online sessions, but if you're ever in Nashville, they got writing rooms there that you can book to write with others. It's a well-known organization in Nashville. I'd recommend it a lot. Nashville isn't just country. It's rock. It's all of it. Bluegrass, all of it. What other groups have I been to? Songtown, an online group called Songtown, which is this cap right here. I'm a member of it. Through Songtown, I have met quite a few of my songwriters, co-writers now. And this is before I had thought about setting up writing teams. So through Songtown, it's run by two hit Nashville current hit writers, Clay Mills and Marty Dotson, who, by the way, will be at the REO songwriting retreat this summer. So those two run it. And one day, Clay Mills sent me an email and sent an email to me, and an artist in Wales called Paul DeMarco introduced us to each other and said, I think you two would write well together. Paul is an artist, he's a producer, and he's a songwriter. So Clay knew that I set up three-way co-writes, so he said to Paul that Lucy will probably bring in a third. So I did. I reached out to a couple of people and set up some co-writes for Paul and I to write as a three-writer team, three of us. The first one we did was with Bill O'Hanlon, and we clicked right away. And we started forming a team, my first writing team, the one I write the most with. We are called DOLL, DOLL, the DOLL team. DOLL stands for DeMarco, Paul DeMarco. O stands for O'Hanlon, Bill O'Hanlon. LL stands for Lucy LeBlanc, which is me. So out of there is our ideal writing team. If you're writing with people that you click with, that you know are going to get things done, and the important thing is get things done. Those songs are not going to sit there unless you want them to sit there. So the ideal writing team is have a producer, number one. An artist would be great, an artist, producer, and people that can write both lyrics and music and the melody. So I focus on lyrics, but I do not 100% bring in the whole lyrics. We work the lyrics together. A lot of people tell me they think I'm more of a facilitator because I move things along. I get things done. I'm organized. So the co-writes you're doing here online or outside of this group, are you getting, when you do the write, are you writing it on something like a Google Doc where everybody can type on it at the same time and put their thoughts down? Is that the way you're doing it?
That's the way we've been doing it generally, I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Are you all, have you all discussed ahead of time what the splits will be if you are going to be doing something with this song? Has that been all worked out ahead of time?
We haven't gotten into splits, and well, we have basically talked briefly about the fact that usually it's just if it's two people, it's two-way, three people, three-way, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the Nashville way. If it's two people, even split for everybody in the room, even if some person only says one word or maybe no words at all, but help drive the energy in the room, it's split equally. So with three people, it's a little awkward because 100% by three doesn't split evenly. So someone has to get a little bit more, either 33.34 and the other two 33.33 or 33.4, 33.
The person that takes the time to actually fill in the form gets the 0.34.
No, I usually think the one who's really driving that song at that time, who brought in, seemed to. But at that time, but we rounded off to no decimal points. 34% for one, 33 for the second, 33 for the three. Okay. And usually for me with adult time, it's usually Paul because he's producing it, he's singing it, and he's releasing it to the world. He deserves that extra 1%. He works hard, as we all do. So that's the one thing. The other thing is, are you all registered with your PRO?
In this case, it would be SOCAN. I think most of the people are. If they aren't, I can help them with that.
Does anybody not know what a PRO is? And if you don't be afraid to say it, because I certainly didn't know when I started. Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, no worries. A PRO is a performing rights organization, and we have one of them in Canada, and it's called SOCAN. In the US, they have 4 or 5 now, 2 of which are, or 3, I guess, that are invite only, and they have CSAC and BMI, which people in the US can join. And over in England, they've got the PRS. So it's a performing rights organization. And what that means is if your song is played on the radio, or if it's streamed or bought online, you get paid for it as a writer and as a publisher. So get your music business stuff in place. Join a SOCAN. If you think, and I presume you're all working towards that, I would imagine you're all working towards that. You'd love to hear your song out in the world. You'd love for people to download it or stream it or get airplay on radio. It is free to join SOCAN. And the way it works, they pay for the composition part of the recording, the writer's share and the publisher's share. So when you write a song, it is automatically copyrighted, if you will. It's in a tangible form. It's already done. You are the writer. And if you don't have a separate publishing company, you are also the publisher, the writer and the publisher. Okay. And if it's played on radio or streamed, you get a certain amount of money for that. And every 3 months, SOCAN will either send you a check or go right into your bank account, which I got. I got one in May, and they keep accumulating through the years.
And that includes performances, if they're reporting performances.
Um, well, it's a performance. Yeah, it's for the, yeah, but
I
you're
mean,
not getting paid for the performance. So
no, but
you're
you're
getting
paid for
paid
the
for the
royalty of
the
playing the song live. Yeah.
the royalty of paying, yes, of writing the song. You wrote it, you own the writer's share and the master share. And if it's publicly performed, if you go out as an artist, and some of you do play your songs out, I believe, if you go out and if you play in a venue that it pays a door, that people have to pay a door fee of $10 or more to go in and hear you. And if you play your own original songs, SOCAN will pay you for playing your own original songs. Imagine that. Down in the States, they don't have to have a door fee. People in the States that are songwriters that go out and perform their own songs get paid for playing their own stuff, not by the restaurant they're playing in, but well, I imagine most of them get paid, but some of them is gratis, is free. But from their performing rights organization. And some people are making quite a good living at playing their own songs just by performing them out at open mics, let's say, as long as people have to pay to get in. And not
Yeah,
in the
Lucy.
States, but here in Canada, it has to be.
Lucy, I just to clarify a little bit. We register as songwriters, and we get the rights for that, for songwriting
Yep.
and for publishing, and then venues or presenters of concerts, etc., choose to or not choose. They're supposed to, and including me, sign up as a business that presents music, and therefore, if the artist or if the venue files a list of the songs that were performed, Lucy LeBlanc sang blah blah blah, Robert Campbell sang whatever, that goes into the system, and months down the road you get whatever pennies you get for that, depending on how it works. So it's a two-sided equation. A lot of places don't. I've produced my show, and in fact, for the shows that I'm producing now, I'm going to be doing exactly that, filing all the things and just figuring out how to pay the $35 or $75. It'll, it's a sliding scale, and then the artist can file and get a small remuneration. So it's actually, I used to produce our house concerts, and it would cost 35, 45 bucks, whatever, and I would get 75, 85, 95 bucks back.
Right, because you're up. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a value proposition that made sense.
Yeah. So the important thing is when you're co-writing is to make sure that you discuss the splits up front of how it's going to be split. The second thing is make sure everybody puts down their information, their writer name, their PRO information, the IPI number that's the number that's associated with their name with SOCAN, all that information, and their publisher name if they've got a separate publisher name. If not, it's under their own writer name. Go ahead.
I just posted in the chat a video, like the Zoom group that I have regularly meeting on Tuesday. We did a ad hoc chat about ISRC and SOCAN and
Perfect.
all that other stuff. It's a little bit long-winded because it's like one of these things, but it's online. I posted the link, and you can speed through it pretty quick and get an idea, so that you can actually, we do a walkthrough of some of the stuff, right? So yeah.
Very good. And the other thing is, if you get to the point where you're actually pitching these songs, or they're actually professionally produced up, radio quality, and you want to pitch them to film and TV or for ads, you get into what's called the master, and that's the actual recording itself, and that's a whole nother discussion we could have at another time. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Lucy, where does the money come from?
What, you mean the SOCAN?
Where do they get that to pay out? I'm curious.
The venues, well, first of all, the venues that you are playing in, as Robert was saying, have to pay to SOCAN a certain amount of money in order to have songs being played in their venue. Radio stations have to pay. So they are, in order to play songs, to, legally pay songs, right? There are venues who do not pay SOCAN fees, and so they are not supposed to have live performances.
Fees that these venues would pay to SOCAN. And,
Yep.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah. So basically, if you play a house concert and the house concert person isn't filing SOCAN fees and reporting the concerts, if you file the show on, they will get flagged, and SOCAN will call them and bug them to join and pay and do all that stuff. So
I
it
was just
depends on how much you like the person, whether you want that or not, and what your situation is, right?
okay, happen in the future. Does this apply to sync as well?
Oh, well, sync is a whole different kettle of fish. So when it comes to
I'm
sync,
wondering, yeah.
there are a sync license encompasses two parts. One is a composition of the song. So you got all your ducks in a row, you're with SOCAN, your splits, your writer's share, your publisher share, and your co-writer's shares. That's the composition side of the sync fee. The other fee is for the master fee, and the master fee is the actual recording itself. That's the recording. And those two fees are usually paid together, and they call it all in, and that's your synchronization fee. Yeah. So for that, you get paid. So that song is on that film or TV or commercial. And then you'll also get back end royalties when the people, when that TV show is played in different countries or replayed again, and all of that. So that's very lucrative if you can get songs into film and TV, is where a lot of people have dedicated a lot of their time over the last 5 or 8 years, because radio play was getting fewer and fewer, and streaming had come about, and people weren't buying CDs the way they used to. So there needed to be another source of revenue, and a lot of that is coming about for sync placements, if you can know how to get to the people who make those decisions. And that's a whole different, that sync would encompass a whole big workshop on itself. So
Added another retreat recently. We had like 4 workshops on sync.
oh, which retreat was this one? Love to hear it.
There's one in West Virginia a couple of weeks ago.
What was it called?
Cacapayon. It's a recording and writing retreat I go to every year. So
Can you spell that name for me? I'd like to.
Oh, hang on. I got to write it down. I'll put it in the link, actually.
Yeah, I'm always interested. I still attend lots of workshops. I still go to REO.
I send out all these links in the message if there's links of value that I can share later.
Okay. The other thing is, when I started co-writing, one of the first things I went to in Nashville, I met another writer from here in BC who I had not met in BC, because I really didn't know people in my area. But down in Nashville, I met Joanne Stacy, and she's a BC artist and songwriter. And again, when we sat down to write, and I threw out a couple of lines, Joanne is fairly blunt. If you've written with her, or have her, right?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of co-writes with her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's funny as can be, but she's very, very talented. Anyway, she looked at me and said, "Gee, that's such a cliche. We shouldn't use that." I thought, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, look, everybody knows that. We need to write better than that." And I thought, there's somebody I'd like to write with. So we did start writing, and she became like a mentor to me. And I've said that to her often. But anybody I wrote with, especially in the early days, and even now, they're all like mentors to me. You kind of pick up something from everybody, and they might not even know they're like a mentor to you. But as you people experienced in the co-writes, Jim brought in something I didn't even expect. So the mechanics of co-writing: be open, show up, show up. And if you're serious about the music business, be driven, be consistent, get it out there, get it done, get it out there. Move on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. If you're right with somebody you don't click with, that's fine, no big deal. You don't write again, that's fine. No, even if it's your best friend, but if that energy isn't there, you know that energy I'm talking about in the co-writes. Have you all felt it? That beautiful driving energy that oh my God, where did that line come? It might have come out of your mouth and you think, where did that come from?
And
Go
the other thing I was thinking about that, it's very true. It sometimes takes 3 or 4 attempts, co-write, goes throughs, till you say, okay, this really ain't going to work, because everybody has a shitty day, right? And
This is true.
and you never know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So leave your ego at the door. The song is king. Doesn't matter. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
It's okay. Thank you, Lucy. I was just going to say, occasionally when I'm co-writing, I have a songwriter that is stuck to an idea, he's stuck. And I can be like that too myself when I'm co-writing somewhat. And I'm wondering what advice you have to our people here today as far as dealing with that within yourself or with other people.
When you mean stuck, are they like 100% stuck on they're not moving from that line?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is where three-way co-writing comes in. You got 3 people, right? If it's one-on-one, it's like you and him or you and her, right? But if you got 3, maybe 2 people say, oh, geez, the way I approach it is, that's a good line. It's a good line. I wonder if we could just look at a few different ways of exploring that line. To see if you can get them unstuck a little. But if there's 3 of you and 2 of you say, I'm thinking we should explore a little bit more about that line or change it a bit, that 3rd person is outnumbered. Yes. But at the end of the day, if it's an artist and they want that line, oh yeah, God, yes, they're the artist. They're going to release it. Let them have it. Why not? Why argue with them? They believe in that line. They're the artist. They're going to get it out there. And also sometimes I'll just bow to the passion in the room. If it's a really, really passionate, this has got to be there. Okay, but be careful. Like, as Robert said, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 sessions to establish it. There might be somebody in the group who's hesitant to say anything. Someone in the group, which was me at the beginning, didn't want to say anything because I knew this line was not right. It was kind of stupid line. But say it anyway, guys. Open it up. It doesn't matter. Say it anyway. When I said that stupid line, somebody jumps on and says, if we just change this, and I jump back on, yeah, let's do that. It might spark something. Do not censor yourself in a co-write. This is all flowing information. But the other thing is, so you decide, let's say you do decide on a title, and you have this title, and everybody thinks, right away, I want to start writing and other people want to start writing because this is what it brings up. But maybe before you start writing, you ask what is this song going to be about? Can we, in one sentence, identify what verse 1 will be about, what the chorus will be about, and what the second verse will be about? And if you can have like a song map, this is where you're heading. You're heading to the hook. So you write a song. If you're pitching down in Nashville to publishers, and I've done this before quite a few times, and I can tell you lots of stories. So it has to draw them in. It has to draw them in if you're playing a work tape or even the full song produced. The first line of verse 1 has to pull you in. Very important line, first line of verse 1. Is it intriguing enough for people to want to hear more, or are they going to shut it off? From the first line, the next line has to logically flow down. third line, fourth line. And maybe there's two of those for verse sections, or maybe there's a pre. Whether there's a pre or not, what comes before the verse, that well, comes before the chorus. I mean, that verse or that pre-chorus has to drive it into the chorus. So it's almost like people hearing it, they're hearing it, they're going, going, going. They know, oh, they're wait, they know there's going to be a big chorus coming now. They can feel it. The energy's driving towards it. Most choruses lift up, a few don't. They might go down, but either way, it's a change. It's coming into the important heart. The meat of the song is the chorus. So as Marty Dodson says, the first verse will set up the context, the character, and the setting. And then you're going to build to the chorus. The chorus has the big emotion. Verse 2 is going to build on the chorus. So it's important in verse 2 you don't reiterate what you said in verse 1, even if it's said in different type words. You want something different there. It's going to move it forward, and it's going to move it forward. So by the time you get to the second chorus, that second chorus even has a deeper meaning. And if you do have a bridge, whether it's a melodical instrumental bridge or whether it's a bridge that has different lyrics, say something different, a little bit of a departure, and then again means something when it goes back to the chorus. A couple of things in a chorus. In a chorus, you can usually, most songs are verse, chorus, or verse, pre-chorus, second verse, maybe a second pre-chorus, maybe a bridge, maybe not a bridge, and chorus. Some songs are A-B structure. They're not verse chorus. Some songs start with the chorus. You feel your way around it when you write lots of songs as to how this song should be shaped. But either way, if in the chorus the first line is your hook, or the last line is a hook, or the first or last line is a hook, a very important line before you get to the hook is a setup line. That setup line has to drive to the hook as though, yeah, that's what's meant to be. The listener hears it and just feels, yes, right? Think about that. First line of verse 1, important. The verse or the pre-chorus has to drive to the chorus. The chorus itself, by the setup line, has to have a great setup line so that when it hits the hook, it's like, oh yeah, that just nails it. And the second verse has to dig deeper into that emotion. Not always easy to accomplish, but it can be done. It has been done many, 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 many times. So, and that's what we're all striving for. That's what I'm striving for. So leave your ego at the door when you come in. Attention to details. You got to have the information of who your co-writers are. You got to know your splits. You got to know how to register the song with everybody's PRO information. And if the song is good, you're going to make plans. You're going to make plans with your co-writers. What do we do next? First of all, get a work tape. Always, always, always get a work tape. If the person designing the work tape does not get it to you within the next day, it can be lost. The next time you write, you forgot the melody. So record it if you can, even at the moment, if somebody can record. You do not want to forget the melody. The lyrics will be there on the Google Doc. You'll see them, but you can forget the melody sometimes. So it's happened to me a few times.
Lucy, we're recording this event tonight, and that's the thing about Zoom. If you have the pro account, it helps. Skype is the same way, whatever. Being able to record these sessions and just hit record to capture that moment is not the whole thing, just capture that 1 minute or even a verse, just so that you have it and you don't lose it. It's really important.
Yes, that is correct.
Just a point on that. I found it very good to always have my iPhone with me.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there you go. There you go. Because I have so many pieces of music and ideas, melodic ideas. I have about 100 titles on there somewhere, on my notes. So they're a great device for us songwriters.
Right. I keep my titles on Google Docs. So I'll say title ideas or hooks, or I
I
find,
Robert's getting me into Google's Docs. I've never used it myself.
okay. Well, notes are good. Yeah, notes are good. You can dictate right into your notes, or yeah,
You can probably hear Jim screaming all the way from White Rock, Lucy.
I could probably do what?
Hear Jim screaming about Google Docs and getting used to it.
They totally confused me.
Well, there you go. Well, that reminds me of Barry Muir saying, "What? I don't want to write via Skype. It's got to be in person." I mean,
I'm not
it's
against, Lucy, I'm not against it. It's just new to me, and although I'm pretty good at computers and that, um, it's a new thing for me. I mean, I've been writing for 50 years, and for
yeah.
suddenly to change to transition to using this electronic thing for that. It's just something I'm not habitual with yet, and not.
Oh, yeah, but you can get used to it. Recently, I was approached by a sync agent who asked if I would be willing to work with them to listen to songs and give feedback on the metadata, which is the information that's in the songs, and the songs itself as to whether or not it would fit the brief. And the brief just means that it's something sent out from the music supervisor or the ad agency that they're looking for this type of song. So with this, I'm listening to it to give feedback. Will that song fit what they're looking for, and is it good enough to send along to it? So this is something new for me. This is brand new. Just started in February. So I'm learning. I'm learning to work with Slack. I'd never even heard of Slack before, so different things. And this sync agency is based in England. So everything we're doing as a team, we're all around the world. And it's like, wow, this is all new to me. But again, show up, try it. What can you lose? Try it. You never know where one thing will lead to the next, to the next, to the next.
Lucy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Where do you get the briefs from?
That's the major question a lot of people in sync want to know. It's not always easy to find where you get the briefs from. When we first started writing for sync, or thinking our songs could be put in for film and TV, we started hearing this term brief. Well, what the heck is a brief? We had to find out what that was. Again, a brief is what the music supervisor sends out saying, I would like a song that's maybe punk rock, and it might want to replace this song we have here as a temp track, and it might say this for lyrics. It might emphasize empowerment or putting somebody down. Okay. And if you got a song like that and it's fully produced up and it's ready to go, and you own the master and you own the rights for the composition share, and again, that's the writer and the publishing, or you control it because you've got a one-stop agreement with your co-writers, meaning you or any one of your co-writers can pitch it as a one-stop to the sync agent. And again, we're getting deeper into it. And who was it who took the sync class? Who was it that took that sync class in Virginia?
Jim Crosby.
Yeah,
Jim, you know what I'm talking about here, right, Jim?
pretty complicated. It would take two of these to talk about.
Yeah. So, but you can do. So we want to get film. We didn't know how. What is a brief? We find out how do we get them? Well, that's not easy. Music supervisors are, you can't. It's not easy to cold call. It's maybe not the ideal way to go. There are music libraries out there that are looking for songs. You research those. There are sync agents, either either exclusive or non-exclusive. You can research those. You need to find out where your fit is, and if it's a music library or if it's a sync agent, exclusive or non-exclusive, they're going to take part of the synchronization fee, part of the sync fee, typically 50%. But they have the connections to the music supervisors. Mm-hmm. So in this group, I have just joined in Ultimate Sync. Then I'm listening for songs. I'm meeting people that own mini labels that are pitching for multiple artists that are so talented. I'm working alongside a lady who used to tour with Leonard Cohen, and I'm going, my God, all this stuff, and I'm meeting these people from 2010, 2011, not knowing anybody, you know, one step at a time. Gabe, you're going to have a huge future ahead of you. Huge. It's going to be wonderful. And to the rest of you, I think you already are experiencing some of that wonderful stuff. So, you know, that's so I'm covering a lot of ground, and I wonder if I was something else I wanted. Oh, when I was down in Nashville, one of the first times writing with a hit writer, Gary Lloyd, I brought in a lyric with a bit of a melody idea. At that time, I didn't realize that maybe lyrics were more of my strength. And he looked at that and he said, Lucy, you have 3 songs in this one song. You got to focus on one idea, not multiple ideas, one idea. And he said, this is the strongest idea. Let's write this. So we did. And that's where I learned focus, one idea. Build that idea. Either build it up or build it down into the minute details. Like if you were in a movie and you see this huge screen and then it goes down, 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 down into the minute details. Get to the heart of it. Another time with a hit songwriter in Nashville, writing on the back porch, the 3 of us. Jimmy and him are just throwing lines back and forth, and I'm hardly getting 1 word or 2 in there, or even a whole line. At the end of it, the song is gorgeous. And I turn to Dan DeMay and I say, Dan, I know you guys split everything equally, but you can't give me a third. I did. Oh, yes, you did. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you brought your energy. We feed it off of that, your energy and your drive. And we feed it off that. You deserve every bit of the third. So that's how it goes. Getting back to co-writing, when I mentioned, you know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Sometimes you have to kind of let it go. So I'm at the point now where a lot of people want to co-write with me, and I have to kind of turn them away. But I hope I do it in a nice way, because I recommend maybe they join Songtown, because through them you can connect with a lot of other writers, and you know, I just don't have the time. If it's an artist, though, if it's an artist who approaches me and wants to write, and they're getting songs out there, I'm going to make time. So a couple things about Nashville. When I was down there in front of a publisher in Nashville, one of the first times, I think it was my second time, and I had heard that they give you like 5 or 10 minutes. And I had brought in a CD. That's when CDs were the thing. And he played I had, I don't know, 12 or 15 songs on there, way, way, way too many. But anyway, he said, okay, let's see what you got. He says, and he puts the CD thing and he plays the first song, not all the way through, just the verse and the chorus. He said, oh, that's a good song. Then he plays the second one. He said, whoa, that's a really good song. And he plays the third one. He says, yeah, that's another really good song. And then he stops, pulls the CD out, hands it back to me, looks at me, pulls his glasses down, and says, now, Lucy, tell me, why should I pitch your songs? Well, I kind of thought, this is a trick question. I better not try to answer it, because whatever I say is going to be wrong. So I said nothing. He said, so why should I pitch your songs? He says, I'll tell you what you got to do. He said, why should I pitch your songs instead of my stable of writers' songs? My writers write really good songs and some really great songs. So if you want me to pitch your songs, here's what you got to do. You either have to write better than my professional writers that I pay for. You got to write better than them. And I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way. I'm not in that league at all. Second, or he said, you got to write something different that they haven't thought of. And that's what I honed in on, something different that they are not writing about. And I found out since that time that professional writers in Nashville cherish a unique idea. So if you have a unique idea, a unique hook that can work into a song, they want that. I remember reading about how Blue Ain't Your Color by Keith Urban, how the writers wrote that song. Now, I forget the writer's name, but this one writer had fallen asleep in front of his TV. And when he woke up, must have been a shopping channel or something like that, he heard these words, blue ain't your color. And he went, he's just, blue ain't your color, blue ain't your color. Oh, I think that would make a song. And he thought, I can't write this by myself. He called up another co-writer, female co-writer, and says, I've got this great idea for a song. We got to write. I got this great idea. She said, hold on. Tell me, what is your idea before we agree to write? He says, blue ain't your color. She said, oh my God, come over right now. We're going to write it. And they did. And when they pitched it to Keith Urban, he was like, this is my song. Right? So, ideas, inspiration can come from anywhere. Yeah. So, Leonard Cohen I read this quote, I read a couple of Leonard Cohen books. He said, being a songwriter is like being a nun. You're married to a mystery. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that the truth? When you're writing, do you sometimes wonder, where did that come from? How did that come through me? Mm-hmm. Right? So I think I've covered off quite a bit. There's probably more. Oh, I did win the American Songwriter Contest, lyric contest, of this thing called Cradle of the Moon. They shipped me out a beautiful PRS guitar, and I don't play guitar, but it's here at the house if any guitarists come over. So,
if you ever need to cover the rent, you can sell it.
Sorry?
If you ever need to cover the rent, you can sell it.
Oh, it's a beautiful PRS. It's got little birdies, little birds underneath. Oh, it's got a gorgeous sound to it. And everybody said I should learn to play guitar. Nope. Nope. If anything, because I can play piano, is learn to play better piano, be like a Robert. So I just wanted to say I've been watching some of the mentors you've had on. The last one, Stephen McClintock, man, he's got a wonderful history. Listen to him. I've written with Stephen. The next mentor you're going to get, Bill O'Hanlon. Well, I write with him all the time, usually a couple times a week, and he's extremely talented, and you'll learn a lot from him. I did send to Robert one of my co-written songs with the Doll Group that got on film, and again with the Doll Group that got onto a commercial a week ago. I don't know if it's of interest to you to hear part of the song and how we wrote it, and then show you the place it has in the movie or the place it has on the commercial.
Yes.
A lot of people are shaking their head. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, the story about how we got the song on the commercial. So I was part of a sync group that was run by a sync agent, and he had brought in a special guest who had gotten lots of placements in movies and films. And this special guest, I can't remember his name, but had mentioned he had this song placed hundreds of times, same song placed multiple times. And he said, the reason, I believe the reason is that the song is simple. It has lots of repetition, has very few words. I think it had 25 words, and it's a driving song, drives. So when I met up with Paul and Bill the next week, because we were writing then every week, and I said, I've got a challenge for us. What do you think? We try to write an upbeat song that has lots of repetition and has 25 words or less. Now you can use the same word, of course, multiple times, but only counts as one word, right? And okay, let's do that. And I think somebody said, let's go. I don't think it was a title we brought in. I think somebody said, yeah, let's go. Oh, there it is. There's the title. Let's go. So Paul, we write the song, and when we're finished with it, we count up the words, 23 words. We had 23 words. So we meet the challenge. Paul produces it up. We write this, I think it was in the latter part of 2023, and it just got into a commercial last month. Okay, so it's a driving, upbeat song. Robert, could you maybe play that song? You could, if you bring up disco, they can see the words on that.
And I should be able to
Lots of
hear it play.
repetition.
Are you ready? Let's go. Are you ready? Let's go. Can you feel it right now? Can you feel it? Can you feel it right now? Can you feel it? Can you feel it right now? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Are you ready? Let's go. 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 Can't wait. Tomorrow's too late. Got what it takes and it feels great. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Are you ready? Let's go. Are you ready? Let's go. Are you ready? Let's go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. 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 Are you ready?
All right.
I
So,
love Paul's voice on that.
oh
That's
yeah, yeah,
great.
I love
Just
Paul's voice.
grinding it out.
Anything he sings, I just like, oh my God. So you notice it's driving, right? And you could just feel, are you ready? And let's go, are you ready? And it's just building, 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 building. And near the end of the song, there's a stop. Very useful in sync. And also there's those na-na-na-na-nas, nonsense syllables. Sync kind of likes that because they can pull that out and put it in different places than na-na, oi, 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 whatever, you know. So that is, when you total the words, I think it was 23 or 24 words. So now, if you wouldn't mind, if you could play, Robert, the commercial. It's a 30-second commercial. You'll have to listen carefully for the song and behind it, because of course it's got words in the commercial, and you'll see how they use it.
Lucy, that was brilliantly simple.
Why do
Yeah,
pups
simple.
need sups? Everything on their plate, they can't afford to slow down. Itchy skin, stress, or needing a daily boost? We've got it covered with vet-developed, rigorously tested, science-backed supplements. So we can stop wondering if they're getting what they need and just let dogs be dogs. We take supplements to feel our best. Why shouldn't they? Native Pet. Sups for pups.
There you go.
It works. It works big time.
It works. Yeah, it works. Now,
Lucy, can I ask you a question?
of
So
course.
when it goes to commercial, you mentioned about the sync agents. So do you pitch it to them, or did they look for it and find it?
No. Pitched it to the sync agent.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they were looking to begin with. They want songs for this, they need us. Actually, this is not correct. Bill had pitched this one, and they were actually looking for a film or TV, and this one was in contention for the film or TV thing, whatever that they were looking for. And then a week or two later, the sync agent sent it in for the ad and thought, oh, these ad people, they want it. He told me, Devin DeVries is his name. He runs Underground Access and Underground Sync. Told me during one of our online sessions, keep it quiet. Don't tell Bill just yet, because Bill tells the world, and we don't want to tell the world just yet. I said, okay, I won't say a word. And then a week or 2 weeks later, I think he tells Bill to keep it quiet. Don't let the world know. So we're all keeping it quiet. I tell my immediate family, don't tell anybody we're getting it. It's commercial. Don't tell anybody. And then the commercial doesn't come out. And my family keeps asking about it. When's it coming out? I don't know. And I told them it was for a pet food company, but I didn't tell them for it. And, the second week, my family keeps asking, come on, when's it coming? I don't know. Third week, I wish my family would stop asking me this. I think maybe it's fallen through. It's not going to go through. It's been 3 weeks. There's been near the end of the 3 weeks, the commercial gets out. So lesson for me, do not say anything until it's there. Unless you want to keep fielding from people like, what's happening, because I couldn't stand the pressure.
So that was by happenstance. They were looking for something else, and they took the song for another project. Yeah, you see, you got to just keep pushing it out there. And
keep pushing. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, so we had a song in, we have this one song in a movie, and we call it No Ceiling. And how this came about is the sync agent had sent the synopsis of the type of movie, and it was an Amazon movie, and it was about a underwater sea diver over in Fuji, and they called it the film Love in Fuji, who discovered things at the bottom of the ocean, and she discovers a ring, and she tries to find out who it belongs to. It was a wedding ring. Anyway, they wanted some sort of inspirational song. This was a very quick brief, and lots of them are. Some of them you have to respond within 4 hours, sometimes within a day, sometimes 2 days. You're lucky if you got a week. So in this case, the brief was due in 2 days. I mean, the song to submit for the brief was for 2 days. The day before it's due, I'm meeting with the doll group, and before we met, I had this lyric idea for a song, like there's no limits, there's no ceiling. I thought, well, maybe there's something with there's no ceiling, and I wrote out a lyric and sent it to them, and we meet online, and they all add to the lyric and change things, make it better. And overnight, Paul produces it and sings on it, sends it to me the next day in time to submit to the sync agent. I send it to the sync agent, who's going to pitch it for the commercial. Within 20 minutes, she gets back to me. I want to sign this. I'm going to pitch it. Okay. So she did. And then I think it was a week or two later, it's going in the movie. And that's the way that happened. So we had to react fast. We had to create the whole song very quickly, and the main idea of the song. So if you wouldn't mind playing No Ceiling and perhaps the disco link, but just maybe you don't have to go through the whole song, just maybe the verse and chorus, and they'll get the gist of it. So this is
that magic feeling. Be anything that you need, anything that you need. Reach on up, reach on up, keep on dreaming. 'Cause there's no ceiling. No, no. shadow that's following you around.
All right, so you get the gist of that. And now, Robert, if you wouldn't mind playing.
While he's doing that, Lucy, who's doing your demos?
That is Paul DeMarco. It's not a demo; it's a full production. It's produced up. He's the producer in our writing team of Doll.
Okay.
He's a producer, artist based in Wales, and awesome songwriter.
Yeah, that's a pretty yeah. He's done some good production on that.
Yeah.
And are you guys sharing the cost on that?
We all own part of the master. Yeah, we all own part of that, and of course the right is all split equally.
Okay.
So if you
It's a
wouldn't mind
writing-
playing that, Robert,
Okay.
there you go.
There's worse ways to make a buck.
Yeah, you got it. So when you find the right, co-writing team, and you're just going to write together. I mean, I think we've been writing together, well, definitely over 5 years. So, and hundreds of songs, right? So it works, and Paul works fast, very, very, very quickly. Wasn't that long ago I did a lyric. It's more of a personal one, but I decided to throw it out to Paul and Bill to see what they think. I threw it out one evening, the night before our co-write. The next morning, Paul had already produced it and brought it into the co-write. I didn't expect that, but he'd already done it and sung on it. And he's released it, and it's more of a folk song, folk Americana. And so if you want to hear that, that would be The Hammer and the Nail. And that one, along with other songs, I'm pitching this one and a whole bunch of other songs.
He was a hammer, I was a nail. If he chased trouble, I was his jail. When he couldn't see straight, I was his braille. He was a hammer, I was a nail. He was a ringer, I was a bell. He didn't cry, but I could tell this was the moment, and he timed it well. He was the ringer, I was a bell. If he was a painter, then I'd be a sketch. If he was a poet, then I'd be his pen. If he was a preacher, I would be the tent. He was anything and everything, that's what he lived. Yeah. I am a weeper down by his grave, tracing my fingers over his name, drowning in memories, can't wipe away. I am a weeper down by his grave. He was a hammer, I was a nail.
That's great, Paul. Just for anybody who's wondering, if you can find a person like Paul who can whack together a production like that, basically on his own, right,
Yeah.
from his home studio,
Yeah.
you're blessed. He's one thing that I noticed with that, Lucy, that I would like to mention is in production. You could write a song and bang out the chords, but the issue of producing a good track is defining the parts and not just banging out the piece. Each instrument has to play a line, a part, a function, a defined role, and each of those defined roles in that track are very simple, very clean, and builds the whole thing without, so that none of them stand out over the other in a sense, but it builds the whole track, right? And what I hear, like I hear a lot of demos and a lot of people banging out stuff. I get, I don't know, how many songs do I get a day? 4, 5, 6 songs a day. And some of them are fantastic, and I can't, you can't play everything, but so many songwriters produce a song and have a flurry of sound without having defined parts and a cohesive whole. So that song there is a classic example of having a cohesive whole. Whatever style it is, too, right? I mean, whatever style it is, it's about having the parts of your instruments being a defined function and a part. Yeah. Anyways,
I've
yeah,
always thought of that. I'm not a particularly good arranger, but looking at other people's arrangement and kind of tearing them apart and saying, okay, what's going on here? I've always felt that it was a tapestry. They took parts that were not you're never you don't play the same thing very often. You're not, you don't have the guitar and the bass doing the same thing. So you do sometimes with that last song in particular, there was some duplication, but it worked. But most of the time you see this kind of tapestry being woven by the different instruments playing particular parts, almost particular rhythms sometimes, and different melodic lines, maybe different feel to their, whatever, and it makes this beautiful tapestry, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been talking on now for an hour, like I don't know what, an hour and a half maybe. It's
Well, we like to get them into the groups and have
yes,
the
yes.
mentors kind of visit and
Okay,
get.
I would like that too, and I would like to throw out a bit of a challenge to you guys.
That's just what I was going to suggest, Lucy. Thank you.
Okay, good. So you go into the writing groups. There are lots of songs that are written with a one-word title, and I was thinking it would be cool if you guys wrote a song with a one-word title, or you take that one word and modify it so that word is built into the title. So let's just say I was thinking of the word burn, BURN, as a song title. If I were to look at burn as a song title, what I would do first is I would go into, I would think, okay, has this title been written and how many times has it been written before? Is it common? Very common. So I would go into a BMI title search. Have you guys done this before?
do you
Search
want me to
titles?
share my screen and show you?
Yes, please. It's
Songview.
called Songview, and it has the titles from both ASCAP and BMI. Now just drop in the title burn and just search. And you sign off the disclaimer.
And here we
How
have
many times has it been done? 1,000
1,000.
results. Okay. Do you really want to write a song called Burn by itself where it could get mixed in with over 900 other songs? So if you were to write a song called Burn, think about how would you modify it? Would you say it all burnt down? Would that be your title? Would it be We Burned? Would that be the title? Learn Too Late How to Burn. How to Burn might be the title. Is there can you guys right on the spot think of a way of modifying the title burn, like we burned, and what you might think is a title, and Robert can research how many times it's been written, and if it's
That's
been
a great idea.
so. Can
You
anybody speak
make
up and think
burn. Yeah.
what?
You make me burn.
You make me burn. Okay, put that in. You make me burn. All right. When I touch you, I burn. You make me burn. It's been written
Once.
Once.
Now, that's not it's not an award-winning song because it would have a thing, and I've never heard of it. Now, you might, okay, any other options on
I have a burn. I have a burn.
I have a burn, okay?
None.
None.
None,
Burn it down.
okay. But when you are deciding, first of all, do you want to stay with the title burn and be in there with the thousand, over 900 other songs? Or here's Burn It Down, how many is that?
922.
Okay, so that's not, okay,
How about Burn It?
burn it. Ooh, let's burn it.
Mm.
1,000.
Wow.
Okay,
Well,
wait, this is burn it, not let's burn it.
burn it is
Burn It.
is lots. Yeah.
Slow
Yeah, but
burn.
how about slow burn? Ooh, isn't that interesting? Slow burn.
13 results for Let's Burn It All. Oh, that's Let's Burn It All.
Yeah, let's burn it all.
Well, no, that's Let's Burn It. It showed up as Let's Burn It All Down, Let's Burn It All. Those
Oh.
showed up because those words are
They're in
there.
it. Yeah.
If you
But if you put in let's burn it all, how many would there be?
well, it just showed us a few.
Yeah. Okay.
Two.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
And what was the other one you had about burn?
Slow burn.
Slow burn. Love that. I wonder if that's been done.
Well, since Eric Clapton did, I think it's probably been
If it's a classic song, it would show up too.
1,000. Yeah.
Okay, so that's been done. And I would kind of stay away from burning bridges because I hear that a lot. But that is an option, burning bridges, but I've heard that written a lot.
Slow burning bridges hasn't. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
Handles at both ends.
Burning bridges. Okay, let's see
not
how
even
many
worth looking
times
at,
that's
right?
been
Because
written.
707.
Yeah, so there's a lot. So would you guys be ready to tackle that? A title that incorporates the word burn or burnt or burning. When you touch me, I burn, or even I burn. Like, I don't know if that.
I got burned.
So with
I
that-
got burnt. Yeah, yeah.
With that
Well,
title search, are we hoping to find something that doesn't have too many others? Like, that
Well, the
doesn't
thing
have a lot of
is,
results?
the thing is, if you're pitching to a publisher in Nashville, and they're going down, they get pitched, over 1,000 songs a day, and they're going through the song titles, and then if they see burn, oh, I've heard this before, they want something a little bit more unique, maybe concrete burn, or oh, what's that about concrete burn? Like, you know what I mean? So then they might want to listen to the song. They will easily pass over songs that say "love you," "I love you." They've heard that 1,000 times, right?
How about burnt toast?
Ooh, burnt toast. Okay, all right. So if you were to write that song, "Burnt Toast," Terry, what would be the logic behind it? Let's say, what would be the thing behind it?
To me,
Yeah, to you.
I like burnt toast.
Yeah.
I like chewing razor blades.
Uh-huh.
I like doing all this weird stuff, right? That nobody else likes.
Uh-huh.
Almost like a Radiohead creep song, right? I'm a
Oh,
weirdo.
okay. I happen to like burnt toast, as a matter of fact. Little aside.
Oh, yes, I'm not too, I like it well done, yeah.
Yeah.
Burnt toast has
Well,
70
did you
reconciled
look that up,
versions.
Robert? Burnt
Yeah,
toast?
70 versions.
How many?
70.
70. So yeah. So, but so is that a challenge you guys wanna do? Any variation of burn you want with things around the title, and not just call it burn, because you'll kind
Okay.
of get lost in that flurry of songs.
Okay. Shall I
Any
random?
objection to writing that?
Robert,
No.
we have 10 people, so we'll need one of us to go in with the group that has 2.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I can do that if you wish, or
10,
And
well,
and
there's,
and kind of try to remember when you're in your group what you think the song will be about.
okay. I will assign randomly here.